Good evening.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. We don't know. We're not going to have Nick with us. Maybe he'll drop in at the end. He's traveling, so he's not available at this time.
Yeah, and our usual viewers, they've seen this story before. They know what's
Yeah.
up. So, Steve, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we're talking about the two red pills.
Wait, I thought there
Maybe
was only
this
one.
is, well, yeah, the general catch all category. I mean, didn't we do a stream a while back on what is the red pill?
Oh, we did. Quite a
Yeah,
while
well,
ago.
maybe this is a continuation. Because we've touched on the history of the red pill, um, and how that evolved, and who was around, and there's always been different subgroups within the red pill. And once upon a time, when it was the manosphere, before it really got the term red pill, I mean, you had what, the pickup artists, the men going their own way, MGTOW. You
Yep.
had the MRA. You had married red pill, which is maybe that's evolved more into LTR red pill now.
Mm,
Um, and then I don't know, was there another group? Maybe the spinning plates were, yeah, they really weren't pickup, but they weren't monogamous. I mean, there's been factions throughout.
and I want to say this. It's actually quite normal for there to be factions, and that's okay. We're tonight we are not if you're looking for us to go, slam on your the faction you don't like, yeah, we're not going to do that for you today. So, because the reality is men need different things at different stages. You know, the PUA stuff was a lot of help to a lot of single men. But if you're married, do you really need it? Do you really care? You probably need something else from the red pill.
Well, there was crossover
Yeah.
in concept, not in going from a PUA to a married. But the common thing was game, use of game. And really a common theme of all these groups is to look at reality. What is happening between men and women? And is it just happening to me, or is it happening to other people too? And what are your stories and experiences? And then, gee, how can I understand women's behavior? I thought it was like this, but seeing examples where no, there's something else going on here. So it's exchanging all that information, but the pickup artists were brought in some useful information that was applicable to long-term relationships and marriages as well.
Well, I'm reminded of a conversation that I had with Thor offline. We were talking about, we were talking about the differences in game from when you are single to when you're married. And game does look very, I'm not going to say very different, but it does look different when you're married because she did pick you. She did agree to marry you. So there's an underlying current of, you know, we have agreed to do this thing. And the other thing that I notice is that the the frequency, the right word, sort of like how often I had to sit there and actually run game on Elena slowed down. But here's the other thing I'd say. her shit tests changed too.
Sure.
So it doesn't negate the concept of game, but you as a man have to react differently because she's acting differently now. And that's normal. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, there's two parts to game. There's the get 'em part and the keep 'em part.
Yeah. And the keep 'em
And
part might look different.
well, it does, but you still get shit tests.
Oh yeah. That
There's
part
still
never ends, guys.
okay, so the concept still exists, the application or the type and how you deal with them, that's different.
Well, and
Uh yeah.
and there's other things too. Like the pickup artists, they tend to take much less interest in the breakup side of things. Because to them it's like, okay, we'll just go
Right.
get a new one. Whereas if you're married,
Wash, rinse, repeat.
yeah, exactly. Whereas if you're married, now you've got stuff on the line. You've got your resources, your kids if you have them, right? So the
Yeah.
married red pill is probably going to be way more interested in the effects of divorce than the spate planner PUA type crowd.
Yep. True enough.
So the reason that I think we include everything under this big umbrella of RP is that different guys are going to need different things. You're going to end up going to different content creators. You're going to end up needing to learn different things. I keep saying this: when you're married, frame control is key. But if you're not married, maybe game is more important. And
Well, pickup artists would say frame control is an important aspect of game too.
right, I guess what I'm getting
Having
at is more if you have game, weaker frame doesn't harm you as much as it does in a marriage, because marriages are more grinding day-to-day things. You know what I mean? Where
yeah.
with PUA stuff, it's more like, you're right, I screwed that one up. But there's another one over here. I'll get my frame right and go do it again, right? Like the cost of losing frame for a bit doesn't hit you as hard on PUA side.
Yeah, on the long-term side, you don't really get do-overs.
Yeah, your do-over runs through a court that's gonna take everything it can. So
Yeah, very expensive.
and I'm wondering, or we've been talking about this idea, and I'm thinking that one of the ways of sort of the ways that the groups have sort of tribalized, if you will, is into whether or not you're doing the long-term relationship or you're just here for the PUA spinning plates. And the MGTOW, and I want to say something here, and I said it to Steve before we started. I actually believe that the MGTOW guys are in the married red pill. And maybe this will stir up some trouble from the MGTOW guys, but I don't know, Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, philosophically. If
Right.
they just say, I'm just not into this pickup world, the spinning plates thing. No. All I want is a long-term stable relationship, and I don't have to learn a lot of bullshit and game to play women. I just want to be a good person, trust them, they'll trust me, and then I don't have to worry about it. Just like it was in the good old married days. But since it's not there, I'm not going to get married. But that's what they really want.
Right. And archetypally, I'm thinking of Joker here. I mean, he has said, "Oh yeah, I have no if I wanted a girl, I could go get one." And it's probably true. The guy knows all of the game side of this stuff. He's just like, he says that he finds it boring or uninteresting, and that may well be true for him. He's a relatively smart guy, and sometimes as smart guys, we figure stuff out. We go, okay, got it, and we move on to the next thing. But he frequently talks about the marriage between his mom and his dad. They stayed married his whole life. You know, it and he's talked about how, you know, he wishes that marriage wasn't the way it was, but that as long as it is the way it is, he's not going to play the game. And I would say that not playing the marriage game is a valid strategy. So,
Well, keep in mind that that's where he's ended up. He does talk about his round the world trip. He took 18 months, visited a lot of countries, stayed there for 2-3 weeks, and moved on. And then he talks about when he was going to a new country, he was on the dating apps, and he would change his locale,
Yep.
and then put feelers out. And so he'd have some dates lined up when he moved to a new place.
Sure.
And, you know, he kind of says, well, he just wanted to see the world. But maybe he was also seeing if there was a woman out there in a different culture that was different. So, you know, he did meet a lot of women. I think he shacked up with a few along the way.
I'm sure, I would assume he did.
And then he came back to the US, and he traveled around here a little bit, but where is he at? Tennessee or something like that?
Yeah. He actually talks about what he's doing. He's building a whole house camping complex for men kind of thing. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, but he's out in the sticks. He's really kind of checked out of the whole dating sphere. Found his place out in the country, finding peace with that. Yeah, more or less MGTOW, but you know, he's a smart guy and he likes to talk on these cultural things, and talked a lot about men and women, and he's kind of evolving from that into more of a news thing now. So yeah, men evolve. Yeah. Nothing,
you mean,
nothing
Steve,
new here.
We're allowed to change? We're allowed to change too?
Well, yeah. Well, gee, we're supposed to change in the ways she wants us to change.
Oh,
we're not supposed to change in the ways that we decide on our own.
Well, the thing that I found interesting about Joker's story is that he did, as you said, he traveled the whole world. He's talked about traveling all over Eastern Europe. So he has sampled from the Eastern European varietals. He's talked about South America, and he's talked about Southeast Asia, and he sampled all those varietals. And yet he still ended up at home by himself. And I mean, we could do a whole stream on, you know, dating abroad and what it is and what it isn't. But that's not that we could do that. That's not this stream though. But it's, and I he doesn't talk about it much, but I do wonder if that's part of what, you know, like he saw what he wanted in a marriage and just said, yeah, I'm never going to find that. And he just said, okay, my only other chance is to, or my only other thing that I really want to do is to go over here and just hang out with a bunch of dudes on the internet. Again, I think that's a fine thing to do. I don't have a problem with it. But I would argue that stems from a desire for the kind of marriage that we don't see anymore, as opposed to actually really wanting to just be a lonely curmudgeon.
Right.
And okay, so what's next on your notes here, Steve?
Well, I want to also say, touch on the PUA's pickup artistry has changed significantly.
Okay.
Because back in the early days, and kind of when I studied some of the aspects of pickup artists? Okay. No, I didn't study it to learn how to spin plates and bet a lot of women. And I didn't use it for that. But I did want to learn to improve my skills at interacting with women and hopefully find the woman. And this was, my goal was true pickup artist side of it. I wanted to get the woman, find the woman. But then I also wanted to keep the woman. So I concentrated on that side. But back then, and this would have been, I don't know, 2010, 2012, even 2014. The people were still meeting face to face through interactions. The clubs were still popular. That wasn't my thing. But that's how people met. And yeah, the online dating stuff had just started, but it wasn't everything. Right now, the old school pickup artist, we've
Yeah, where do they go?
culturally evolved. You can't use the same techniques that worked back then, supposedly worked. And certainly the whole bar scene, club scene, that's in a lot of parts died. Yeah, it's still out there for the young college people. There's those college places, but yeah. I went to one a while ago with some friends. Well, there's three of us old guys, and one of the guys, it was his daughter who was in college, who says, "Yeah, you guys come out." So we stood around watching all this commotion and the scantily clad women, and uh-huh. There's a lot of dynamics going on, but I don't think a lot of those guys are using pickup. I
No.
just think it's hookup culture.
Well, it's interesting you bring up, so dating websites have been around since the internet's been around, but they were, think clunky big interfaces with, you had to search for things like match.com, right? Or plenty of, it was called Plenty of Fish, but everyone calls it Plenty of Whales because, well, that's kind of what it is, but websites, so it was websites. It wasn't, and I think it was really the cell phone that changed everything. Cell phone and Instagram. And I think that's really where dating just kind of, because
Well, the
even
smartphone, you mean?
yeah, oh yeah, the smartphone. Yes, you're right. Sorry, I'm a millennial. I just equate smartphones with cell phones now. I know, Steve.
Okay.
I'm not that old. But it's smartphones, Instagram.
I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. What is he getting? He's getting an example now. He's probably going to get his phone so that he can show us that he's still an old guy. But yeah, so when you had like an old brick phone or a flip phone, you weren't really getting dating yet.
Yeah,
I knew I was getting his phone.
guys. This is a cell phone, and it folds up. It's so state of the art because before this, we just had the big bricks. Man, this was awesome. Actually, that's my father's phone.
Okay.
He couldn't quite figure out these whole smartphone things, so
yeah,
basics. And he was having trouble operating that close to the end of his life too.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do with all the aging boomers who are, because a lot of particularly younger boomers, late Xers, they actually did gel with smartphones. Like my dad has a smartphone, he uses it, he just blows up the text size on it, right? You just
right.
So, but I don't know how we're going to do with them. We will have to see how this goes, because I can tell you right now, guys, all the cell phones, all of them are designed by mid 20 somethings. So anyway, minor aside there, but I think the big shift away from PUA happened at about the same time that Instagram took over.
Yeah. So now PUA is about how to do your profile, how to take great pictures, and there is a greater concentration on the concept that 5, 10, up to 20% of the men get all the action and all the women because that's the ones that the women want. And the other 80% are kind of left out. Now, that was around in its as a small idea back then, 10 15 years ago. But it wasn't as important because you could go out and you could still approach women. They weren't afraid of being approached. And you
Yeah.
could still talk to them and your personality could shine through, and then they wouldn't just be considering you based on your looks. But now that's become everything. So all this PUA stuff to spark attraction, to show your character, your personality, all that, it doesn't matter anymore.
Which is kind of unfortunate for a lot of men because, well, it's that 80-20 problem we were talking about, or even 90-10 it anymore, because it's all based on looks now. And we can talk about for a minute the trying to base everything on looks is a masculine way of interacting with relationships, and getting women to pick men on the basis entirely of looks was a feminist goal. Now, they might not have realized it, but because the goal of feminism is to make women basically into defective men, then one of the goals must be that women, it's kind of an unstated goal, but it's you want women to value the same things men value. And they've been largely successful at it. So women now value the looks of a man over anything else, and that includes not just his personality, but his. They say, oh well, and of course, women still value resources in the job, but their first cut, the first thing that they look at on Instagram or whatever is, do you look good? Right. And then it's job, and then it's nothing else. There's no place for winning personality anymore.
No. So, as far as the red pill, how it's evolved, I would say the MGTOWs, they're pretty much gone. They went their own way.
Yeah, yeah.
The MRAs, they're not. There's really not a large group of them around. It's talked about reform of laws, but nobody really expects it. And few are talking about how the laws need to be reformed. Baskerville did, and we touched on that more from a sociological perspective and a Christian perspective. Yeah, this is why it's needed. But there's not a real movement or a large movement there. The married red pill, well, that was Dalrock. Once everything went to YouTube and the blogs kind of faded away, the level of participation went down dramatically. So those guys are mostly out there just living their lives. And so what's left? Well, there's, I guess, what's left of the pickup artists, which are the guys who want to maybe spin plates, have a few women. There's some dating coaches on that side.
Yeah, there's a few still around.
And it's basically evolved into, okay, now we're getting to what are the two red pills. There's the guys, and I'd put us in that category, even though both Nick and I are divorced and don't have women at the present time. We want to understand the dynamics, and we may not ever have that again. But if we do, we want it to be long term, and we don't really have any interest in variety. We just want one good woman. And you want one, well, you have one good woman. And you want to keep that woman and not have to go find another one.
Well, it's more specifically, I want to keep it without having to simp. It's I want to keep it and keep my dignity and manhood,
Right. So that's what we're about. Then there's a large grouping of people who just talk about how you function day to day, how you make the best of the current sexual marketplace or sexual environment. That no, it's not achievable to have a woman for a long term. The deck is stacked against you. So here's how you run your life. That's kind of a evolution of the pickup artist, maybe.
Pickup, also spinning plates, maybe a little bit of, and they will raise pitchforks at me for saying this, but maybe adopting some of the ideas of MGTOW, about it, particularly around the concept of never getting married.
Sure.
I mean,
so
this has been a blender. Everything that's happened over the past 8 years, it's been a blender.
Yeah. So I guess the two red pills, I would define it as, what purpose are you? How are you going to apply the knowledge that you're learning? What's the purpose you're learning this knowledge? And how do you plan on using it?
Okay. So I'll flesh that out a little bit.
Okay.
To my mind, there really are only two tracks. There's I'm going to call it the get what you can while you can, which basically is going to be your plate spinners, your pickup remnants, maybe even they're not really on the MGTOW side, because the MGTOW side guys they've just checked out and left the building. But there's going to be a little bit of so there's going to be the sides that says no, you never want to get involved with one, always have more than one, or do the serial monogamy thing. Just one leaves you have the next one ready to go. So and what they're going to say is, they're going to say, well, but this is just the way things are, and so men adapt, so we're adapting to this. And
right. I think it's summarized by, she's never yours. It's just your turn.
Right. And I'll be honest, there are some aspects of that phrase that I even apply to my own relationship. There's always a little bit of, I could talk about that. There's, and you do have this in here in your notes. There is a difference between love and trust. And, I think most guys would agree after going through a divorce that you don't ever really fully trust women. And so, that there's a little bit of, yeah, it's just your turn in that statement. So,
yeah.
Though, and again, we are not passing judgment on anybody out there who's saying that. Although, like my issues with these guys is they also tend to be on the embrace the decline side of things, which I think is absolute bullshit. But as a strategy for dealing with women, I look at it and go, yeah, it makes sense.
Well, if you just look at the environment we live in, I would say the serial monogamy spinning plates, they their approach is a valid, logical approach.
Yep. Yep.
And it's actually more viable than what I want to do.
I agree.
So I can't fault them for that. It's just that okay, now you throw in the aspects of Christianity in your morals, and you believe, one man, one man, one woman were meant to get married and stay together for life, uh, and go through the tough times together. And if you believe that, well, maybe you're an idealist. Okay,
Maybe
I
we
can
are.
accept that. It's difficult. Yep, it's extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yep.
it's almost impossible. Okay, but that's still what I want. So I guess I'll be MGTOW. Well, I'll be in my monk. What my monk?
Monk
What do they
mode.
call monk mode until until I find it. That's funny. They got terms for all this stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We and these terms they're there for a reason, guys. They give us a common language to describe these somewhat complex topics. Oh yeah, that's just monk mode. So here's the thing though, Steve. I think even without the Christianity aspect of it, I think most guys would actually prefer the one woman. I think most guys are not actually interested in the sort of serial monogamy, plate spinning way of living. Uh, I think it actually just comes down to, for most guys, it's look, women are a ton of work. And if you're going to have more than one woman, you're basically saying, oh, yeah, I'm taking on 2, 3, 4, 5 times that amount of work. And I think a lot of guys just look at it and go, for these women, really? That I've got to do all this for that? Meh. My video games, my Xbox over here.
Well, historically, young men would do that when they're full of testosterone. It would be worth it for them. Then as guys get a little bit older, man, I can't be bothered. That takes too much effort.
Well, I agree that that was primarily an old guy, or at least early, maybe mid-30s guy thing. But looking at the statistics, guys even in their early 20s, they're checked out. They're not.
They are, because they've seen how things are out there, and I say, my God, that even just a one woman relationship, it's
Yeah.
damn near impossible. The entitlement, the delusion, I just can't even relate to that. Plus, I'm not interacting with women. And this whole dating app thing, it's a scam.
Yep.
Screw that.
Right. So I think what's, people, the pickups, plate spinners, they have been the dominant force of the conversation, in part because they tend to say things that rankle nerves, and it makes makes them a great punching bag for certain aspects of our media culture, shall we say. But I think if you actually look at the numbers and the data, most guys, they only stick around that stuff for the emotional catharsis, the emotional release of having their understanding of the world validated. I think a lot of them kind of look at it and go, that's all great, but why would I want to do all these pickup things just to get a woman who land whale, bad attitude. Like, why would I spend so much effort on women? And I
Right.
think they just leave. I don't think they stick around. They get their emotional release and they're gone. And honestly, I'm not sure that's helpful to them or the rest of us.
What do you mean? What's not
Well,
helpful?
yeah, I have to define helpful here. There is a percentage of guys for whom that form of the red pill is going to they're just going to gel with it. They're going to mesh with it. They're going to say, "Yep, I can do this. I can take this. I can get the women I can get the women I want. I go to the gym. I've got my finances on order. I can take care of this. I can do this. I just need to, for them it's
Right.
just plugging in another thing. I think for most guys it isn't that. They if you've been consistently rejected on dating apps, you find the red pill and it explains why you're getting rejected, and then you're going to look at yourself on your pictures on your phone. And you're going to go, yeah, it doesn't matter how much time I spend in the gym, or I'm never going to be working in a field that produces that kind of money, right? Even if I do have the looks, I'm never going to be able to produce the kind of money to go out buy the car that looks good on Instagram, buy the suits that look good on whatever the thing is that you're looking at. And so they're just like, I'm gone. And so that creates this culture in the pickup side of the red pill of, well, we just cycle these guys in, we feed them their daily manna of rage bait, and then when they leave, somebody else will replace them. But that leaves these guys out there with a lot of knowledge about the way the world works, but with no answers for how to solve the problem for themselves.
Yeah. Well, I have some theoretical solutions, but in practice, I don't know. It's
Well,
kind of I'm at mercy of society just like everyone else.
Well, right, and I wasn't trying to say that we're going to give you all the answers tonight, because I'm not even sure if we have all the answers to give. And that really wasn't the point of what I'm saying. I think
No,
more
I know.
the problem is okay, we've got these guys out who they know the data, they know how girls work, and they're depressed, and so you could make the argument that the pickup side saves them from unaliving themselves for now, but they're still depressed. They're still not having any success with women. And on the pickup side, they'd say, "Oh, well, you're just not applying the stuff enough. You're just not hustling hard enough." And I mean, we've talked about this before. Most men aren't, just by the law of tyranny of averages, they're not going to have the IQ to pull off that sort of culture and mindset. And okay,
And okay, here's bottom line. Okay, you mean I have to bust my ass, make more money.
mm-hmm,
I have to go to the gym every day to get,
mm-hmm.
fit and all that. And then I can hope to get a woman with a high body count and a bad attitude. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
Right. And I think that's where we've mostly gotten to for most guys, is they're just the high value men are going to float to the top of the red pill. They're going to get out there. They're going to find what they want. And then the rest of the guys are going to, the red pill just becomes sort of yet another, I hate to say it this way, but yet another failed strategy to solve their problem. Yet another failed attempt. Yes, they learned more because the red pill contains within it significant heapings of truth, some of it very bitter pills to swallow, or enemas, as or suppositories. Right?
Suppositories, yes.
Yeah, suppositories. Okay, so like they get there, but then they're still confronted with the fact that they can't ever actually achieve that. And the red pill guys will say, no, they could. They just have to apply themselves. And I would turn around to those guys and say, no, for the majority of guys out there, There's no amount of application that's going to break them into the top 10% that women might be willing to break their rules for. And what that means then is that the only relationships out there available to them are these mid women who are just here to suck your resources. On Twitter, I sent this to you guys in the private chat. I found another one, and she was on this guy. He's a CPA and he does tax advice on YouTube for these people. And she's basically out here popping out kids because they're tax breaks. She can get child credits. And she's making like 41,000 a year, and she's got piles of debt, some of which is at like 36% interest. And she's 3 years behind on her taxes. And she's like, oh, well, I'll just have another kid and get another tax break. And guys are seeing this out here going, I'm supposed to sign up for that? I'm not going to do it.
So let me take this in a slightly different direction now. Okay, so we've outlined the two areas of red pill, two types, we're calling them. And when men discuss things, men come up with solutions. So on the spinning plate side, those guys are focused on practical solutions to live your life and have a woman in it or multiple women to live, according to them, the best life you can. So they're focused on techniques and safeguards so you can do that, and how to the self-improvement side.
Yep.
On the long-term side, I guess I'm going to talk about what we focus on, and then we can kind of go into that. How do we differ from that? Well, the commonalities are they want to understand women. We want to understand women. We don't want to expose ourselves to risk, or we want to mitigate the risk. They want to mitigate the risk. Okay, great. But we propose solutions like, well, marriage is still a good. Because oftentimes red pill are accused of, oh, you're anti-marriage. No, I'm pro-marriage. Just am not pro-secular marriage. I'm pro-traditional marriage, the church marriage without the state, without the laws governing that. So does traditional marriage exist? No. It doesn't. If you do a non-state, you don't get a marriage license. You just make vows. Do you have a traditional marriage?
No.
No.
Common law.
Well, okay, it's common law. Yes. But even if it's not common law, he wants to leave, or you have kids together.
Yep.
She can take the kids. So let's say it's not common law. So we are going to be married, but you're going to have your house over there. I'm going to have my house here. Therefore, we never have common residence. Therefore, we're not covered by common law. We're going to have a prenup and we're going to have all this. You still can't. Okay. And you're being very non-traditional in order to be traditional. But even then, if she decides to leave, chances are she's going to take the kids, and you lose. The man loses.
The state's still going to step in, order you to pay child support, order you to give the kids to her. I
don't care about child support as long as it's reasonable. That's fair. Just don't take my kids from me.
Yeah, but they're going to order it.
And don't. Yeah, and that's what happened. And the thing is, the more they restrict you from having your kids, the less time you have, the more child support you have to pay.
Shocking. Well, but see, this gets into this loops back to, Well, why aren't men getting married? Duh. Why would you sign up for this agreement? Even if you went completely non-traditional to get traditional, why would you sign up for that? You wouldn't. And so guys aren't. And I've said this before, men today actually grew up in broken homes. Like if you're a guy today out there, you had a single mom, and I'm sure there's lots of guys out there that say, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. My mom was great." Right. But for a lot of guys out there, it wasn't great. And they're looking around at that going, "You know what? I don't want that. I don't want my kids to live in a broken home like that." And since the state says we're going to take the kids away if you get divorced, even from a traditional style marriage, the guys just going to think, nah, I don't care. And so, we've talked about the baby bust that's going on right now. Yep, this is what's driving it. It has nothing to do with economics. Japan announced today that they are going to move to a 4-day work week to try and improve the birth rate. Won't work. Won't help.
Man, their culture has been, built around men working super long hours
Mm-hmm.
and the FaceTime at work in order to get ahead.
Yep.
Okay, now you're cutting down to a 4-day work week. I don't think that's the answer. You needed to just, well, first of all, it's cultural, and how can you enforce that kind of cultural change? But basically restricting people to a 10-hour workday might have done more.
Right, but they don't. We are, as a culture, we are so desperate to not see women as the problem that we will go to these extreme economic lengths. Hungary has the best in the world, as far as I know, the best pro-natalistic economic policies out there. I totaled it up once, and like at a minimum, just for having a kid, it's like 80,000 euros of support, which is about $100,000 US, just gifted to you by the government. And then we start stacking other stuff on top of it. This is Hungary. They implemented these policies about 10 years ago when the birth rate dropped to like 1.2. It got up to 1.6 and is now down at 1.5. They have spent billions of euros trying to convince people to have kids, and they could not get it back up to replacement rate.
Yeah, everybody's trying these. I mean, South Korea's implementing something to do that. So,
well, the reason I wanted to say all this is because I think that there is something missing in both. I mean, obviously in the secular and non-red pill side, but I think the red pill side is missing something too that's not connecting with men. And I think it was something that the married red pill had, because the married red pill was more focused on these kinds of problems, the divorce problems, the child support problems. You go read the old MRP posts on Reddit, and they talk extensively about how do I save my marriage so that I don't have to lose my kids. Like that was a huge component of what they talked about. And now there's really no one left to talk about it at all.
Because we've come to the conclusion that that's pretty much impossible.
Right.
She's set on going. There's nothing you can do to change a woman's mind once she's done with you. And there are no moral women in a divorce court.
No, none.
And yeah, if you see the handwriting on the wall, you better prepare. No, you know what? If you focus all your effort on saving the marriage, it's wasted effort.
I agree with that.
I would agree with. I mean, I believe that. No, you need to prepare for the battle of your life. Get your assets out and start getting your war chest ready and deprive her of assets. because now you are being a good steward for your money. You're not withholding it from her. It's there. You have it. You can provide it if she wants to be your wife. But at the same time, these are the consequences if anything, is going to make her reevaluate her decision. It's when you are not blindsided and that she knows that, ooh, my life could be really difficult. It has to be
And
consequences.
and,
So
and
that's
even
your only hope. But I'm
uh,
not putting a lot of hope in that either.
yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, you can show them that there's going to be consequences, and most of them, because of how the cultures message this, most of them honestly believe that the courts and the big daddy government will come in and spare them from these consequences. So they're just gonna bull right ahead. And for the most part, sadly, they're not wrong. And so, we've talked about solutions. We've talked about, what needs to change. One of Nick's favorite topics, he's not here, so I'll bring it up for him, is father primary custody. You know, changing the laws so that the father gets custody, primary custody, whatever term you want to use there, of the kids. I think that would, for a lot of men, would really. I think a lot of men would be a lot better with divorces if they knew that they were going to be able to keep the kids. And I think for a lot of guys, they would be more willing to get married if they knew that they were going to be willing to keep, or that they would be able to keep the kids.
Just hey, this is a wonderful economic idea. It would
It
create
is.
so many jobs
Oh man.
because these men would have to hire all these divorced women to watch and care for the kids. And you know what? Then their ex-wife would be doing that job for some other guy, and she could pay him child support to subsidize what he has to pay this other woman to watch his kids. Man, just think of the jobs that would be created.
And Steve, these are jobs for women.
Exactly.
We've got the feminist narrative right here. We are creating jobs for women. There you go. There's the soundbite that I'm going to clip now. We are creating jobs for women. Somehow I don't think this is going to play well as I'm making it out here.
Probably not. No. So
But
I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, aside from the economics of it, and even trying to solve the baby bust problem, I think for a lot of guys, knowing that going through a divorce might be difficult, but doesn't have to end in complete emotional just devastation of losing the kids, being forced into the poorhouse, and all of this stuff. I think for a lot of guys, that's all they're looking for. That's all they want out of. I think that's all they want out of the red pill. Even is that I think that they want more men to stand up and say, "No, we need to be out here working on this problem around divorce and kids," because, as I said before, most men are not interested in spinning lots of plates, particularly for what they've got to work with in women out there.
So yeah, our side or our type of red pill. Okay, these are the things we are talking about and trying to develop into a workable plan or a concept. Yeah, some laws should be changed, but I'm not assuming they will be. Another area that we discuss and try and figure out is how basically is red pill opposed to Christianity? I mean, we've addressed that before. No, red pill is just understanding the nature of women. Now, what you do with that, you can make a moral choice or an immoral choice. from a Christian perspective. And I'm not saying those men over there are bad, because what are they? No, I'm just talking philosophically here. You have your principles, and you have your morals, and if you have your Christian faith, can you still be red pill and understand the nature of women, and then understand why those men are choosing the path they're choosing? Yes, you can. I'm not going there, or at least I hope I don't go there. It might be fun though.
Well, Nick led an episode on this where he actually arrived at the red pill is a moral Christian good, because the red pill is an attempt to discover the truth of the world. And what is one of the core commandments from God? We are to go forth and seek the truth. Well, we're doing that. Okay, so we view what we're doing as a Christian moral good. Okay. We're not saying that you must then attach yourself to our morality, and you must, like, if you find the red pill through our stuff and you say, hey, look, I really want to go off and do the PUA stuff, what we will say, yep, you're going to learn a lot. It'll be good for you. Go for it.
Yeah. Come back, talk to us once in a while. We
yeah,
we enjoyed interacting with you, and we
right.
And we want to keep the exchange of ideas going.
Right.
And that's why from time to time we interact with guys on the other side. We respect their views. We respect them as men. Hopefully they respect us, and for the most part they do. But the dialogue is good, because that's how we will come up with solutions. We keep pushing things, and there's no one man that can come up with the solution or even understand things. It's through this conversations and comparing experience and observations. And yeah, I tried this and it seemed to work a little bit, but no, or it failed, or here's my blind spots. And so, for instance, one of the things we just touched on in the last couple streams, love and trust. Men, we got to get this through Christian men's mind. Yes, the Bible says love your wife. It doesn't say trust your wife. Yes, there's a certain amount of trust, but men equate, if I love her, now I can trust her implicitly. The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible says you have to maintain your headship. That implies, okay, you have the authority and the responsibility. You have the responsibility. But in order to have the authority, that means you can't make us equal in authority, give her equal say over how the money is spent, or joint bank accounts, for instance, where you both have the authority to go in there and do what you want with the money. No, keep your own authority, because it's just prudent. And now just look at all the examples of divorce where, if she decides to do it, she's going to clean out that joint bank account. Oh, yeah. How much authority did you have then?
None.
Was your trust misplaced?
Yes.
Kind of think so. So, unlimited love. Sure. Limited trust.
And that's biblical. Bible doesn't say unlimited trust. It says unlimited love. Okay. I can deal with that. And a lot of Christian guys struggle with this, and that's okay. Nick is always, I mean, he's not here tonight, but he's always happy to answer questions on videos about this stuff. And he's got all the verses in his head, I think, at this point. He's just, hard memory.
Nick will say the same thing. I'm just going to say now. Yeah. I thought those two went absolutely together. I never contemplated that they're two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost me. Okay, so this is why our branch, our type of the red pill is important. We are developing these different concepts for guys who want the long-term marriage type relationship. We know you're still going to get married, okay? Men are still going to get married.
Yes.
Some are. Maybe we can give you some pointers to make it less risky. It's still going to be very risky, but mitigate that at least a little bit. Make it easier for you to survive, and not only for you, for your children. The more authority you can retain from the very beginning, the more authority you will have over your children, even should a divorce happen.
Is unlimited love unconditional love? No. Elena's asking a question. No. Unconditioned love would be the same thing as unconditional trust. That's where the two concepts get messed up. That's where they get tied together. Oh, well, if you love me unconditionally, right? That means you trust me unconditionally, right? I can do whatever I want. No. I've been accused of not trusting Elena, and my response is, yeah, you're right, I don't. Not unconditionally. I do not unconditionally trust her.
Hey, come on. There are conditions.
Yeah.
Everybody should know that, because if you got married, weren't there oaths involved?
There were.
Says, I promise to do this. She said she promises to do that. Those are conditions.
Yes, sir.
It's contractual conditions.
We signed a term sheet, like a terms and conditions, right? Like that. Yep. That's so no, there is unconditional love, I think, is more of a Disney creation than it is anything that's ever really been practiced for humanity's history. I think it's a new idea, and I think it was one that was created by people who were looking for a way to say, aha, we have a monopoly on love because we practice unconditional love. And therefore you cannot say that no matter what evil we do, you cannot say we do, it's evil because we're doing it out of love. I think that's really where it came from.
Yeah, and women use the concept of unconditional love as a weapon.
Oh, yeah.
If you loved me, you would do this.
Which is ironic because if is a conditional statement. I'm a software engineer. We call that a conditional statement. If then else, right? If then this or else. Now, when it comes to women, that or else is often implied, not expressed, but it's there. And that's a condition. So, if a woman tells you she loves you unconditionally, laugh in her face. Women do not love unconditionally. And therefore, men, you do not love unconditionally.
Oh, there's another group of words that women use rather than if then. It's called the yeah, but what if?
The yeah, but what if? Yeah. Yeah. Which is, it's a linguistic inversion of if then else, but if you actually unpack it, it's just an if then else. Right? I mean, there is no such thing as and that is, I think, particularly for the Christian side, a hard concept to accept, because they say, oh, well, but then you're not practicing, love as Christ loved the church. Christ doesn't love the church with conditions. Nick's not here. unfortunately. But I'm guessing that there actually are conditions on the basis of books in the Bible, like, say, Judges. I'm sure Nick will tell
Well,
me if I'm wrong
hey,
later,
come
but
on. Let's
like,
just say, okay, are there conditions on salvation?
ooh. Okay, I know what the Catholic is going to say.
No, you don't.
Okay, Steve. Are there conditions on
Yes,
salvation? Okay.
there's a condition that every Christian would understand. Salvation is a free gift, and it's yours if you accept it.
Yep.
Condition is acceptance. Okay, now Catholics would put some other conditions in, but we're not going there. That's not what this stream is about.
Right. But yeah, you're right. There is a condition there. And so, no, this idea of unconditional love, and particularly the church that pushes this idea that you just need to love your wife unconditionally and pray with her more, is actually non-Christian, which is a bitter pill for them to swallow. And so, we're kind of looking around at a lot of different angles in our streams, going, well, okay, you over there, yeah, that's not going to work. And then we turn around to, the group that group we were originally pointing at was saying, and then we go and we point back at the group that they don't like, and we go, yeah, you over there, you're kind of messed up too in this way. But I think that stems from the fact that there is nobody, or there's very, I shouldn't say nobody, there's very few voices out there who are speaking for what the common man wants and what the common man is looking for out of this. There are some names that pop to mind. Some of them we've even worked with before. Shaw from This Is Shaw. He's out there talking all the time about the divorce and child support stuff because he worked in that industry. He understands it inside out. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that we talk about. But other guys, I would put even guys like Coach Greg Adams. Coach Greg Adams has this concept of the after pill. It's kind of like, okay, what do you do after you've taken the red pill and accepted it? Like, what are you going to do with it? And he's trying to sit here, instead of just getting caught in the red pill rage phase, he's saying, okay, but how are you as a man going to continue progress out of the red pill rage phase? We haven't worked with him, but and then you've got people like even Pearl, who Nick was on with last week, who I would call Pearl more of a men's rights activist than anything else. She is out there. I mean, she's using all of the red pill knowledge, but she's actually advocating for specific things. She had Baskerville on recently. That was a great interview, guys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Even guys like Donovan Sharp, they're kind of he's more in not as much, and he still has lots of ties into the older school red pill, but he is married to Devin. Now, again, it's they did not go the church route, and I don't blame him. But he does these reviews, and he does this Pop the Balloon show, which is as a dating show review. So he's worried more about the relationship side of it too. So it's not like these voices aren't out there. And I wanted to run through kind of a list of different voices at some point, so that all you guys out there could hear that you're not alone, that the red pill hasn't forgotten about you. We're here, but I will agree that we are not the popular voice. And I would go so far as to say is that more pickup spinning plate side was made popular by people who want to attack the red pill. They were set up because they're such a juicy target, just like the are you, Steve? I know you're old enough to remember, but there's probably a good chunk of our audience that isn't old enough to remember when the PUAs were being vilified. This would be like early 2010s. They were being run up the flagpole left and right in the media. So there's always been a component of the red pill, or whatever you want to call it, from whatever era it's been, that's been vilified by the media. That's just part of the territory, but that doesn't mean that there aren't men out here who are advocating for things that you as men,
just part of the territory. You know,
hey Nick,
You're not alone.
yeah,
Hey,
you are not alone.
nice you could join us.
Yeah. Hey Nick.
Hey guys.
So, Nick, have you been listening?
Oh, for here and there, that's bad. I got some bad connectivity right up until where I get to my location. So
Ugh.
Okay.
I barely can
Just
connect
wondering if
to-
you were up to speed on what we talked about.
Hell
Okay.
no. I'm listening.
So
So, the next one, okay, we talked about the different approaches, the purposes of the red pills. One, our group is focusing on solutions, how we can have a long-term marriage, and make that successful for a lifetime. Or maybe we don't even achieve that and we don't have a woman like you and I, Nick. Whereas the other side is the spinning plate side. One common theme, we all talk about accountability for women, the topic of accountability, and
yep.
how women like to avoid accountability. So, what's the solution for the spinning plates guys versus our approach to accountability for women?
Well, I would say for the spinning plates guys, they have it pretty easy. Ditch your ass and go get another one. I mean, I think for the long-term guys, it's, I don't want to say harder, but it's very likely more involved process. And if you're in a marriage relationship and the state gets involved, then yeah, it is harder. I don't know, Nick, what would you add to that?
So for the long term,
Yeah. How does the long-term side apply consequences to women in your mind?
well, you have to I don't think they do a good job, but as I mentioned the other day on a Pearl show, is you have to realize, yes, you want a traditional marriage, but you don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist as soon as somebody hits the delete button or wants to leave. What I'm saying is that when somebody wants to leave, you're done. You can't keep it together.
Well, I've advocated for
So have a good exit strategy pre-planned.
Well, yeah, and I've advocated for not fighting for it too hard. Just kind of frozen, let it go. Just if they want out, let them go. I don't know, Nick.
Look, I tried for me. I tried.
Didn't work.
Like, I've still got blamed, but yeah,
Well,
it's always me and bad, but
and you have kids, I don't. But this is a question for you. Do you think that it would have been better for your kids to have not gone through the horrible divorce process?
yeah.
Okay. So that's an interesting thought process. Ejecting the woman quickly,
Yes.
can be a net benefit to your children.
Yes.
Okay. That's
So
a
in
point.
general, women no custody.
Well, but that's a point that
let them do it. Let them do what ancient women had to do when they want to be shitty. They had to be hoes.
Well,
Bring it
I mean,
back.
yes.
That's the
Well,
only agency. Bring it back.
what do we say? They're for the streets.
Yeah,
She
back.
wants to be for the streets.
Let her be for the
The
streets.
partial solution that we came up with is something that needs to be applied before men have the knowledge or wisdom to apply it, which is your behavior from the beginning. Frame control keeping the authority, making prudent decisions about, no, the house is in your name, your bank account is in your name, can be a joint one, but keeping that authority, and then outlining the consequences of her bad behavior
in advance. I do that with
in
Elena.
advance. So, but
Man, you will
but
not find this
hey,
in
are we going to
any
get men to
conservative
do that?
church. No, and by the way, the churches advocate the opposite. They facilitate the cuckoldry, the emasculation of the man, the ruination of his frame.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
We're not
We'll
saying
talk
they
about
don't.
that Wednesday. A little bit.
That's what we're doing on Wednesday. Okay, that'll be
A
fun.
little bit, yeah.
See,
It'll
but
bleed into that. So
that's why we talk about this. We talk about these things and expose what's going on in the churches and why it's wrong, counterproductive, and really anti-Christian. And
it is.
we developed and articulated the concept of love and trust are two different things, but young men always put them together. I love her, therefore I trust her.
Oh, hey, and I always say, but if you love your wife, you're supposed to trust your wife. It's like, oh, you love me, then you have to trust me. And I'm like,
My personal favorite is, why don't you trust
track
me?
record doesn't add up.
Yeah, and I have been accused recently of not trusting Elena, to which I have to say, you're right, I don't. And she knows
some
that.
trust. You have some
right.
trust, but it's not like a complete
Exactly.
trust.
It's when they say it, they always do it in the form of a question. Well, why don't you trust your wife? The implication being that whatever I'm talking about, clearly I don't trust her, and clearly that's bad, and I should just have given her unconditional trust.
You need to. I think here's the answer we got to tell men. Flip it around on her. If you love me, you will trust me to make decisions for this family. Yes. If you love me, you will trust me to have my bank account with my money in there to use for the best purposes for my family.
So all the new trad wives just checked out, Steve.
Yeah. Yep. There goes our viewership numbers, right?
Oh no. Oh, did I piss off the women again?
They thought that scheme would work this time if they played the purity card, the trad wife card, right? Separate bank accounts.
No, Nick, you're supposed to step up and defend them from. You're supposed to tell us we're wrong.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Had the funeral.
You're not buying that anymore. Come on, Nick. Come on, man.
No. Well, the husbands historically always controlled the finances, except with like certain extreme circumstances. But yeah, they didn't have so-called joint bank accounts. No, it was the husband's control. The husband allotted the funds. The husband could take out credit. None of this bullshit. Because who has most of the credit these days?
Oh, I mean, debt, women.
Or way too much debt. I mean,
yeah, we I mentioned that earlier. There was
okay.
I sent in the private chat. I sent this guy or this woman. She's doing like a tax review, and she is this I think is actually demonic. She's 2 years behind on taxes, almost 3 years, and she only makes like $40,000 a year, and she's got more like 3 times that in debt, 36% interest rates, and she wants to have another kid for the tax breaks.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me. Because women seem to always think the solution lies between their legs.
True.
Yeah.
True, they do. But my opinion, that's actual demonic behavior. I'm going to pop out a kid for the sole purpose of getting a financial benefit from it. Do you think she's going to take good care of that kid Does anybody honestly believe
No.
that?
No,
Okay.
that's why you have them knocking crap over at Walmart.
Right. But we are supposed to sit up and defend this behavior because it's good for her. It's good for women. Like what? No, I am not going to defend that behavior.
Stop simping.
Yes, stop it. And she does have a guy who actually pays most of her bills. That was the other. And I'm just sitting here going, this is what this woman. I'll guarantee you that if she's not a Christian, she will discover it soon, and she will just roll. The church, it doesn't, I mean, this is obviously a tax advice show, but so it doesn't come up. But if she isn't, she will be soon. Why? Because that's the next step in the grift. Go get your purity card and go get the church to tell a man to wife you up. Oh, and she wants to have kids, right? So, I mean, that's another, the church would look at her and they'd say, you want to have kids? Oh, yeah, come right in. We will help you and support you. We will find a man for you.
So,
Run.
Plutarch,
Save yourself. Run.
if we enter a recession, where will be the best place to encounter a lot of young women?
Well, the clubs themselves have actually already entered a recession, so not there. Let's see. But you know what? I've been to a lot of churches lately that feel like nightclubs. So,
So, didn't you just say when a woman gets in economic has economic problems, he's going to find Jesus and go to the church? It could be in the next. Now they don't have money for gyms.
Yeah, they don't.
Or the discipline.
No, if they're really desperate, they're going to go to church and try and find a good traditional man to solve their problems.
Well, the traditional man should pay for everything, right? I mean, that's what we're.
Well, that's
Steve,
the solution.
You just said it 10 minutes ago, right? You just said it 10 minutes ago. The guy should have the money to pay for everything in the, in his account to pay for the family. Like we actually just said that.
It's actually very difficult these days,
Yeah.
especially with expectations.
So
This trip, that vacation, this fancy car, gotta have this certain type of food, and
oh yeah, been there, done that, have that T-shirt. Don't need to do it again. Particularly on my ex's favorites were vacations and food. Those were her. The car stuff she didn't care about as much. So, there is a red pill out there that does talk about these kinds of issues for men. We are not the popular punching bag for the MSM, and we know that, and that's fine. We are not out there saying all sorts of horrible things. Okay, Shu, I got to pull this one up.
I did it. I know.
Scamazon crime. I love it. Elena, are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening?
Oh, she knows that's about her.
Right.
But she's not alone.
No. So there is, but what I think is that is true is that most men, look, Steve, you said it before, most men are still going to get married. They are. So,
Well, I wouldn't say most men, because a lot of
most
men
men
aren't.
want to.
Maybe
Sorry,
most men won't. Most men want to. Many men will still get married. And you know what? I didn't think of this till just now. If we hit a recession, the women are going to show up in the churches. And oh man, if you are a man in the church and all these new women show up, and you've not had success with women, and
Oh,
now all of
no.
a sudden they're paying attention to you.
Oh no.
Oh, it could be bad for the man.
For the men.
Because you are signing up.
Well, I've said this before, and I will say it again in this stream. Guys, we saw this in 2008. The women, 2009, 2010, they all got married. 2014, 15, 16 were big years for divorces. What do you think those women were doing in 08, 9, and 10? Oh yeah. They were shacking up. And the economy turns around. 2014, 15, 16 were actually pretty good years. High divorce rates. And they probably, and that's, you're talking about 5 years, 5-year average interval. That's enough to pop out 2 kids. And now you've
What
got
were
the
they-
state on your side.
What were they doing in the years leading up to 2008 through 2010?
Oh, Steve, there is an answer to this. 2007 through 2012 was the first quartile of the millennials graduating college and entering the workforce. So lots and lots of people graduated college and entered the workforce.
Mhm.
Yeah. While they were in college, were they what's that thing they talk about that carousel?
Oh,
Were they riding a
Oh, carousel.
carousel?
they might have been doing that. Let's see. Let's think. Yes, they were. It was bad. I was in college at the time, and it was bad.
Yeah, and then so they moved from the adventurous phase to the purity phase.
Well, I think in 08 they would still have been in their. Well, let's see. It would depend on when they graduated. They might have hit their epiphany phase early. Some of them would have had to hit it early, but that's not impossible. It's a range, not a hard number. Yeah,
It's a range, and it depends on their fertility and economic situations.
right. So you can hit your epiphany phase a little early, no problem.
So, yeah, okay, it's epiphany, but I'm saying it's the purity stage
Okay.
because their past, well, the past is in the past. They're not like that anymore. Especially if you find them in church. No, I've seen the light. I found Jesus, and my sins, my past has been forgiven, and now I'm like this. So now I'm marriageable.
Oh, Nick, what is it you're always saying about this? What is Pastor Nick always saying about this?
Yeah, you're forgiven, but you still have to deal with the earthly consequences.
Nick,
You're not-
they demand that the consequences be ignored, be damned, if you will.
Okay,
They demand
the
it.
Catholics have this concept too. There's spiritual consequences and temporal consequences. Temporal means earthly. Okay, the spiritual consequences, meaning going to hell, that's basically what it means. Okay, they're gone. Now you're saved, you're going to go to heaven. These are simple concepts. But the temporal consequences, you kind of messed up your life. The temporal consequences don't go away. And we've talked about this in the past. You need humility. You need to make maybe some restitution, and you need to have some penance, or actually atonement, or do something to make up for the damage you did to others and yourself in the past. It just doesn't magically disappear. And it certainly doesn't disappear if you don't talk about it and you pretend. Well, let's pretend that didn't happen. That's the failed strategy for men and women. It's called repentance, and repentance is as much spiritual as it is earthly, temporal. You have to change your ways. Okay.
Okay, Shu.
I mean-
now you've got me looking. I'm looking for where they said this. The reason I bring it up is because I think this is the next stage. I think this is sort of like the femcel type stuff. Well, like we
Call it
have
nunnery.
Well, I also think that it's women who are, for lack of a better term, exposed for still suffering from the temporal consequences. They say, "Oh, no, we're so holy now that we can't nobody that oh, it's very likely phrased as we're so holy that we scare men away." I don't know which video Shu's referring to. I will go try and find it. But
that's not what I've seen.
okay, Shu, I will go look it up and find it just so that I have it in
They
the
don't
library.
scare
of
men
things.
away. No, they still want the attention. That's a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'm kind of working based on what Shu is saying down here.
Yeah.
We don't have the video up, but we have talked about these women before, and the self-righteousness that just oozes out of their veins about their faith is vomit-inducing.
Hey, Nick, did you watch that interview Pearl did with the private investigator? The black guy?
I don't remember. I don't know. I might have watched like 5 minutes of it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's
He
like a
was
week or two
talking
ago.
about why it's important to vet your woman. But, okay, he grew up in the church. I think he was Christian. Not going to get married, though, because he's seen too much. He was talking about the hookup culture in the church. And, it shocked me because I not experienced that, but yeah, it exists.
Yeah. Well, especially in the bigger churches you have, they have all the singles ministries. And I remember when I never went to a big enough church to do that, and I always thought that was a bunch of shit. But I remember when mom left dad, and she was always going to these singles ministries. You know what those were?
Meat markets? I don't know.
Singles ministries today are still meat markets. Hasn't gotten better. And I think that part of the draw to the mega churches is a numbers game. You're more likely to meet another single woman there who might actually, well, as Rolo likes to say, touch your pee-pee. But
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Well, not only is it a trap, it's like, yeah, I am. You're not, as a Christian, you're not supposed to do that. And there's lots of girls there who won't because they're Jesus's boyfriend, and you can never be that. But I do believe that the bigger the church, the more cheating goes on. And I'm thinking back to Mars Hill, the stories that came out of there. Yeah, the stories that came out of about what was going on, yeah, there were some claims against Driscoll, and he kind of weaseled his way out of them. But there was a ton of stuff going on at a lower level than that, beneath him. And it's like, look, I think you get a large group of people together, of a large group of single people together, and to some extent, you just need to expect that. What do single people do when they get together?
Yeah.
So, what I would say to that is the mega churches, there are not enough pastors in them ever to watch the flock.
Not really their job either.
Yeah, they're nightclubs. They're nightclubs for Jesus. Oh, I don't know, Nick, and you maybe you could comment on this. What do you think the maximum church size for a pastor should be?
About 300.
So 3,000 then would imply at least 10 pastors, probably more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 300s are difficult enough for just one pastor. So
Are you saying that there's lots of problems in the flock that other people don't know about?
oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to a church where the attendees routinely register in the thousands, I guarantee you're not getting a proper Christian diet. We'll go with that word. Anyway, we've gotten way off into the weeds.
Yeah.
Well, we just wanted to talk about the different types of the red pill. I think we've kind of explained why we talk about the things we do and other guys don't. They are looking at a different type of red pill with a different goal in mind. So you're going to see us tackling other topics here, like demographics. Well, demographics relates to morality and long-term survival, economic benefit for children, or our progeny. What's our legacy? We talk about things like that, and those are valid red pill topics. And you're going to hear us talk about them. Shock touches on similar things as well. He does come at things from a moral and principled perspective. Nominally, it's not Christian though. So the distinction is not between Christian red pill and non-Christian red pill. That's not it.
Nope.
It's between what is the purpose, and are they looking long-term and beyond their personal immediate satisfaction, pleasure? Are they looking for a short-term answer or a long-term answer?
I think, Steve, you have just coined the terms. We have the long-term red pill and the short-term red pill, LTRP and STRP. Oh, shoot. By the way, to answer your question, how many does Joel Osteen have? The best data I can find quickly is about 7,500.
Thought it was more. Okay.
Well, he might have had some struggles
He's
lately.
got that big stadium, though. Doesn't that hold more than that?
It might. And this number could be older. Oh, no, you're right. It's 45,000. It must have been it was an older number. 45,000. There you go.
Okay.
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Dang it. I thought those had some good news. Darn it.
Nope. So yeah,
That's-
sorry. I just
He's
didn't get a
running
good
an
sense.
industry.
Yeah, he is. So, yeah, we are not going to. We are not the channel for pick up, how to spin plates or pick up girls. We're not that.
No, but we might touch on certain aspects that might draw a woman in general, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But what I would say is we're not here for short-termism. I think I made my view on short-termism very, very clear here recently. I will. This is just going to become one of my mantras. Fuck the decline. Fuck the decliners. And a lot of there's a lot of people who subscribe to sort of a short-term
Enjoy the
methodology.
decline. Enjoy the
and
decline.
enjoy the decline. And I'm just like, yeah, for that worldview, I've got nothing, like, thank you for cursing me with a terrible outcome. But when it comes to red pill stuff, we agree on the data. We agree on the truths that back this up. We're just, our sort of mission is more, we want to help men who want to get into the long-term relationship side of things, who are not interested, or maybe you feel you're either not interested or you're just kind of looking around going, I'm never going to be that hustler guy that all the women want, playing the game. If that's not what you want to do, then we're here for you.
Well, we haven't come up with a simple program of here's the things you should do to accomplish your goal. We talk about things, we educate people, we have suggestions, things, advice, but you kind of have to understand a big picture, what's going on, so you know how to apply it and figure out how to apply it in your specific situation. But it's not, there's no simple list of, men, do this if you want a long-term marriage type situation with a woman, have kids, and one woman for a lifetime. I have no simple list of things you should do.
Well, we're 3 divorced dudes. I'm not sure we would be like,
Chances
we've
are,
all-
if the bed dries up, you need to plan your exit.
right. And
Or,
I think,
or perhaps lose weight, and if that doesn't work, plan your exit. But yeah.
well, and I think that even we would have to acknowledge that, yeah, we're here for the long-term married pronatal view of things, but we have to be realistic about what we can expect out of that. And I think we have to be realistic with you guys. We have to be realistic with ourselves. That's why you'll get on and hear us say things like, well, like what Nate or Nick just said. Well, if this, if bedroom dries up, start planning your exit. Is that biblically good? No, it's not. But
It's a multi-layered insight. You're thinking several moves ahead.
mhm.
Why is the marriage bed drying up? Okay, is it just because I gained weight? Okay, if you can fix that, sure. There's some things you can do, but if it's a long-term problem, okay, she's obviously already abandoned you. And nobody gives a fuck about you. The church doesn't give a shit. They'll just beat you over the head and say, suffer more, suffer more, suffer more, and while blaming you. Fuck them. Save yourself.
Right.
I'll say it differently. If she has contempt for you, and man, you can recognize when a woman has contempt. If she's exhibiting contempt, start planning your exit. Doesn't mean you have to pull the trigger, but you have to prepare for what's likely, and a high probability of cases, she will divorce you once she develops contempt for you. Because now, contempt is basically the same thing as rebellion. She's rebelling against you. She no longer respects you, because contempt is the opposite of respect. So she's rebelling against your authority. And she will continue to rebel until he divorces you. It's just a continuum. So, yeah, Nick's right. You need, when you see these things, and yeah, the marriage, you have
She's probably already cheating on you. She's probably already
well,
cheating.
she
You
might
just
be
don't know
cheating.
about it.
She might not be. Just by her withholding and not having that marital union, that's rebellious behavior.
Well, I think Shu actually, I think he hit it here. It is abandonment,
It
isn't it?
is.
It is.
It is.
So if you're, I hate to say it this way, but if you're looking for your Christian justification for ditching her, it's right there. She's already told you that she's leaving. Look, when a person, I'm not even going to say a woman, when a person has contempt for you, they're done. They're gone. It's over. Whatever it is, whatever form of relationship it is, it's over. Okay.
Oh, by the way, the church won't do fucking shit for the man. Oh, just suffer more, sacrifice more. Oh, suit her needs. Hey, I did that shit for like 10 out of 11 years. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Fuck them.
the church has
Fuck the cucks. Fuck the white knights. They don't know shit.
the
Fuck
church
them.
has bought into the lie that it's only abandonment when the person actually walks out the door for good.
That did happen too.
Well, right, but you know that like the church will tell you that as long as she still cohabitates, that you are fully responsible. No, you're not.
No.
So yeah, but sure, I think that's it. Calling that contempt, it is contempt is a lot of things, but yes, they are also abandoning the relationship at that time. So if that's happening, you know, and Steve, you know, you were talking about, you know, preparing and uh, you don't have to pull the trigger. I agree. She will tell you when to pull the trigger. I'm not saying she's going to say the words, but
Yeah, I guess I'm not saying don't pull the trigger. I'm just saying prepare. You don't have to immediately pull the trigger, but you do have to immediately prepare and be prepared to pull the trigger if the situation warrants. Because you shouldn't pull the trigger if you're not prepared to pull it.
oh yeah. Okay, Shu, this is Shu's lightened it up today. Um, yeah, I know, I agree. I know he said things that it's not abandonment. I don't know if he's updated his beliefs. This gets into deep theological disagreements, and I'm sure it would be fascinating to hear him and Nick go back and forth on this.
Well, it's willful after it's persistently been addressed and there's no change. And there's no
Okay,
there's no special circumstances, basically.
so Andrew argues with a lot of non-Christians, secularists, young women.
Yeah.
He debates things. And he doesn't really have discussions with other men who are similarly minded or of a similar intelligence level to bat around some of these ideas and refine them. He's a smart guy, but he cannot refine these ideas on his own because he's not focused on that. I mean, it would be fun.
It's not his game.
And it's not what his mission is right now. If Andrew came on here, hey, I would enjoy a good back and forth discussion. I really don't care to debate because that puts us on opposite sides. I don't see me
Steve, if men,
as opposed to him.
Look, if men were supposed to be monks, you know, why is it being? They should enter that willingly, not forcefully.
Oh, being a monk, going monk mode. Yeah, I agree with that.
No, I'm talking about sexless marriages.
Well, okay, yeah, being a monk, right? You know,
Yeah.
Monk is a choice, not yeah.
No, it's not their choice. It's not the man's choice. That's the problem.
Oh, right. Got to work on that.
No, like it's like, hey, you have these responsibilities, not holding up your end at all. You know, hey, I consent to take care of you, but oh, by the way, I'm not going to do anything, and there's nothing you can do about it unless I actually physically cheat on
Wait, are you saying there is such a thing as a marital duty?
you. Yes.
No. Is it
And
does a man have a marital duty to go out and work and provide for
Yes.
his family?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Does the woman have a duty to support her man and be
Yes.
sexually open to him?
Yeah.
And consequently, the man also has a duty to have sex with his wife. Sometimes she wants it and he doesn't. I mean, those cases exist.
well,
Well, I'm
I
talking about like years of
yeah,
dead bedroom
like
and persistent rebellion.
yeah, because I'm thinking about the more, like the temporary stuff. You guys, you have to be willing to work that stuff out. Like, okay, women have a monthly cycle. A lot of guys don't want to deal with that. It's kind of, I mean, I know some guys do, which I think is strange, but okay. So you say, okay, yeah, we're not going to do it then. And hey, there's other ways of having fun, shall we say? Even so, it's more about being it. If she's willing to work with you on that stuff, even if you're the guy saying no and she wants it, if you're willing to, and I think was that Paul who was saying that for a time, right? Like by agreement for a time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was Paul. Okay,
To
Right.
devote yourselves to prayer that you may come together again and not sin. Or I'm
right.
paraphrasing, but
Well, but there's this concept of but it's not a permanent thing, right? It's we agree we're not going to do this thing right now because we have something that we there's another thing that we but that's by agreement, and I kind of like, okay, well, if you both are agreeing to it, that's not a
Now, a lot of these women need to be excommunicated from the church. They're pieces of shit. They're faithless pieces of shit that should be excommunicated. But no, pastors keep simping for these. There you go.
well, okay, but what you're kind of saying is
But the red.
well, I was just
Go
what
ahead.
you're kind of saying is that these women who don't uphold their vows, should they be excommunicated?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
No doubt about it.
okay. I mean, I can get behind that, but the reason that the churches won't do it is
They don't
because,
do.
well, they won't do it because of cha-ching. I need like a soundboard with the
Mhm.
money drop on it.
Simps.
well, yeah, but
And that's what I'm doing here. I'm going through the temple and I'm overturning the tables of these fucking simps.
men just don't like to see women suffering, even if
That's
it's
true.
consequences of their own behavior.
That is true. We don't
That's the
like it.
definition of a simp. Coming
Well,
to her rescue.
the simp gives into it. Like, does men are wired to not like to see women in distress. It's a biological survival function. So we're all wired for it. But then you start talking about frame control, and the simps have none. They see a woman in distress and they must help.
Mhm.
We're actually over here saying, well, the situation's gotten so bad with the simping that we need to come in, as Nick said, throw the tables over and start
Drive them out with the whip of cords.
right. But we're not saying
I
that.
didn't think you were into that kind of stuff.
Gosh, there we go.
Well, here I am trying to make a point. We must be 2 hours in.
Yeah, just
but
about.
here's what I would say. Nick and Steve and I, we're not here saying these things out of some sort of hate for women or even the church. We're actually
No.
saying these things because we're looking at this as rational men who are going, you are destroying yourselves. We want we want you to. Okay, fine. I'll say it. We want to save you from yourselves, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah. He who has ears, let him hear.
Right. It's people are like, oh, you must hate women. No, actually,
No.
we kind
I hate
of
feminists, absolutely.
well, yes,
Yeah.
but they always say women. It's like, well,
Yeah.
no, we don't hate women. I'm married, been married for 8 years now. All three of us have been married at some point. Like we all wanted to do this thing, and then we discovered the red pill when we all got destroyed. And that's I don't
Russian
know
roulette,
why.
man.
I don't know how we ended up on this other side of the red pill, but we did. Yeah, it's true. Feminists are the true haters of women. They really do. They hate themselves so much they start cutting bits of themselves off. Yeah, shoo, exactly. Correction, if God corrects out of love and that correction is harsh. I mean, it was Jesus that did the table flipping and whipping, right? That's God correcting out of love. He wasn't doing it because he wanted to, because he had some sick fascination with beating people. And we're not doing this because we have some sick fascination with whipping and beating on women. No, we don't. We're doing this because we want to see men and women succeed together. And so that's how we ended up on this side of the red pill that we ended up on.
Yep. And we're going to keep exploring these ideas and other related things. Pretty much everything is related, though. Even if we talk about the economy or the demographics or the birth rate, hey, it's all related foundationally to marriage, because marriage, the family, is the foundation of society. Foundation is not too strong right now, and our society is not going to do well long term without a strong foundation of the family.
Well, I think most people
relates.
And I think most people would agree that our society and culture is not very strong right now. And we're just saying, yeah, we point this at the feet of the church, the feet of feminism, the feet of all these whores out there, and at the feet of men simping for all of this. There's plenty enough blame to go around. Here's where I would say a little bit of Christian compassion. You can, okay, yeah, we're all fucked up. We're 2 hours in. I'm going to say it. The only way out of this is to try and actually solve the problem. And to you women, you've had a pretty easy, cushy life. There's going to be some harsh consequences coming your way. And to the men, we're going to have to say, look, guys, guess what? You have a lot of work to do. You're not going to enjoy what comes. But if we do the work, and that could be legal work, like working with law, working with, trying to fix the divorce laws and the custody laws and all of that. And we are here for that. And we will help you in any way we can. Because that's the hard work that's required.
So
well, I think we need to draw to a close.
Well, what, Nick?
So red pill's not just Nietzschean pickup artistry?
Nope. And it never has been. We covered a lot of the history before you got on, but there's always been another side of it. So yeah.
I'm good. I'll have to rewatch it.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So what do we got coming up on Wednesday?
Oh, I'm going to talk about reporting husbands to the elders. Apparently, there's a big controversy with Doug Wilson and Joe Abbott and other guys about
Oh no.
need to report your husbands for their not politically correct stances. So we'll get into that concept and rip it
Boy.
to fucking shreds.
Yeah.
There might be some Dalrock that shows up because I think Shutai shared an article with me about that on this past week, so that might come up as well. Okay.
Red pill applies to the church, guys.
Yeah. Well, the Bible applies to the church, but hey, when they want to ignore one truth, it tends to show up at another place where they're pointing out the inconsistency. So
Okay.
so that'll be Wednesday.
That'll be Wednesday.
It'll make a lot of people angry, but that's okay as long as the truth is revealed.
I think Nick's setting himself up for more spicy. So if y'all want spicy, Nick, show up on Wednesday.
It'll be spicy.
Hey Nick, we need to put one of those chilies or like fire emojis in your title line next week.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we're just shooting the breeze now, guys. We don't have anything planned for Monday yet. We'll figure something out. We always do. So, all right. Well, I think we've said everything we need to say on this. Steve, did we get everything you wanted to hit in your notes?
Yeah. We covered it.
We rambled a bit. We diverged a bit. Yeah, you guys are going to have to put up with it out there. Yeah.
Hey, we're turning into talk show hosts. We're learning to ramble and stretch it out and say a lot of nothing when we need to.
Oh, come on. We need more hard-hitting ideas all the time. Just nonstop hard-hitting ideas.
And we're supposed to run like 12 hours though on nothing. So
Oh, yeah. I'm not doing a multi-hour. What prattle stream?
Prattle stream.
yeah.
I have work to do. Before I got on, I had the usual Monday, stuff piled up over the weekend list, and that list isn't done yet, so I've got work to do. Yeah, we don't do prattle streams because the three of us work for a living. So, yeah. And, well, with that, we will see you all on Wednesday for Spicy Nick.
Bye.